It's another difficult night for Aston Villa, a 4-1 defeat at home to fellow Champions League chasers, Chelsea. Reminds me a little bit of the game, which was, I know the specific date of this match because I'll come to it in a minute, but 10th of March 2024, when Villa lost 4-0 to Tottenham. Similarities to that in how I feel, I guess. But that was, since then, this is Villa's heaviest home defeat. Yeah, deflated, really. That's the feeling. The night started so well. I thought the atmosphere was crackling. I thought it was really good, as loud as I've heard it for a little while at Villa Park. I thought the 50 so fans in the lower north stand as well, making themselves heard to my left from the 1897 group, and big props to them for making the noise as much as they can throughout the match, even though the scoreline was so difficult on Villa. But yeah, he starts so well. Luiz getting his goal, Leon Bailey starting the game, a surprise inclusion. And if you watch the Claret Blue podcast, I think I probably stuck up for Bailey a bit more than others. I like what he brings to the team when he does it, essentially. I just think he gives balance, but his performance levels have been so low that you couldn't have really put up much of a case for him starting today, but Emery thought so, and he comes up with an assist, gets it his man, gets to the byline, pulls it across. Watkins jumps over the ball, and there's Luiz to score his first goal in over 2 years now, I think. I think his last goal, I did check this, I think 64-65 appearances ago for him, and it was Villa's 40 win over Nottingham Forest here, say 2 years ago. It was late February, I think it was, that Luiz last scored a goal for a club, and that set Villa on their way to starting the game well. But they go and lose 4-1. João Pedro scoring twice in the first half, but that doesn't really sum it up. The VAR to rule Watkins' goal out was very much marginal, and the goal for João Pedro to put Chelsea 2-1 ahead was also very marginal, even more marginal, I think, looking at the replays. When Rogers did play the ball to Watkins, when he thought he scored Villa's second, it's perfectly in line with the press box, and I did think at the time, has he just gone a bit past that defensive line? And yeah, by a smidgen. I mean, yeah, obviously there's no daylight in the rules at the moment. I think there will be if Arsene Wenger gets his way and that goal would have stood. Would Villa have gone on to win the game? I don't know. Villa have been well beaten today, so I don't think you can take much away from Chelsea. Sorry. If you get done 4-1, I don't think Villa can be talking too much about whether they've been hard done by offside or those sorts of things. Tonight was about turning up, and that I think they started the game well. But I mean, even 2 minutes after Luiz's goal, the ball comes in the box. João Pedro should score. Martinez makes a decent save, but Villa, in the end of the game, they are now 3 points ahead of Chelsea, so a 3-point buffer, if you want to call it a buffer. In the top 5, that's obviously shrunk quite considerably and worryingly rapidly as well. There's a long way to go this season. Villa are 4 games away or a month away from the end of the season. They can just about see the finishing line. They can't. It's the start of March, and I think they've got to almost limp over the line for the international break, let alone the season. The Lille match for me is really important. I mean, it goes without saying it's an important game, but hugely important that Villa get back to some sort of positivity really, really quickly. They go to Man United, not this weekend but the weekend after, having just gone to Lille. That'll be a cauldron of noise. Emi Martinez will have a great reception, as will the Villa players, his teammates, sorry. That's going to be a really difficult match, and Villa need to try and win that Europa League, don't they? And I'm not even just talking about the Champions League qualification that comes with it. They need silverware. They don't look like a team who's going to win the Europa League at the moment. No, you would say that. Earlier in the campaign, Villa's form was bad in front of goal more than anything else. They weren't losing too many games. They lost to Brentford, didn't they? They lost against Palace. But they drew at Everton, they drew at Sunderland, they drew here at Newcastle as well, having been down to 10 men. The results weren't horrific. The performances weren't great though, and they didn't score. So it didn't paint a positive picture to the opening of the season. However, Villa have now only won once in their last 7 in all competitions. And it doesn't feel to me like they're about to go and win, 5 of the next 6, 5 of the next 7. But then I guess we thought that. I remember standing outside the Stadium of Light and saying this is probably the lowest ebb of Emery's tenure so far. They then won 17 of 19 after that. However, we know one of the big reasons for Villa's drop-off is injuries. You're hoping that John McGinn can return very quickly. Yuri Tillemans will be after that, of course, after the international break. That's one reason, but 1 win in 7, it's not good enough for the quality of players Villa still have on the pitch. And Emery spoke after the game about how confidence is low, energy is low. Our structure has, he didn't say it is gone, but I think he's essentially alluding to that it really does need to be regained. Say not quickly, not just quickly, but to its full effect as well. Because Villa, as Emery pointed out, Villa don't rely on players to, one single player to score all the goals or one single player to win them the game. It's a team effort, and nearly slipped over. And if you look at you look at the quality around that Chelsea squad tonight. Just going to bring on Mark Claret now. Pretty frightening to be fair. The levels which Villa are competing against, Man United, they lost today. That run wasn't going to last forever under Michael Carrick. But at the same time, they can call on Sasko off the bench against Everton and just stick one in the bottom corner to win them that game. Cunha and Buemo. It's compared to what Villa have. And I'm not going to go on the rules. And in fact, I'm not going to stop myself there. Everyone knows where I'm going with that. But it's difficult. Villa have put themselves in a fantastic position. And even now, you would say at the start of the season, well, with this amount of games remaining, Villa 3 points inside the top 5, and it's 2 teams beneath them, not just one. We'd all take it, right? Yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't matter. Momentum is so important in football. Villa have no momentum right now, and that's not it's not dramatic to say. I don't feel it. It was almost more worrying that we saw the bright start here against Chelsea, and it was quickly just snatched away. And you go and the game's lost like badly lost on the 55th minute when Palmer scored, I think it was. But then you're done, and you've just taken a -3. You've shipped 4 goals after 65 minutes. It should have been 5. When Garnacho's played in, Martinez makes a good save. So that's worrying to me. Villa have shown something in the start of that game and quickly deteriorated fast, and that's a problem. Their home form is a problem. Not beating Leeds, Aston Villa not beat Everton, Brentford down to 10 men. They've obviously gone and beaten Brighton but in previous runs that Villa have been on, that for me should have been they've got over their little slump. They've managed to by hook or by crook win a game, and that was Bologna back then. That was I can't think of examples off the top of my head, but Villa, that's what Villa have done when they've been in a bad way. They've come out the other end just about, but this slump that they're on now, you can't quite see the end of it. And as I said, you couldn't against Sunderland, but what you did have was Bologna and Fulham at home, and then there's another Europa League game in Feyenoord, which is tough. But then Villa, I believe, had Burnley not long after that as well, and it felt like, that Burnley game was before international break, if I'm not mistaken. It felt like it was a decent opportunity just to sort of kick on, get a few wins under your belt, and all of a sudden you go into the international break with a couple of points off 6th or whatever it may be. Obviously, very few games played back then. But now Villa are in the situation where that international break, God, they need it. I think it's really important that they can try and just stay ahead of Chelsea or Liverpool, one of them, just keep yourself above 6th place. That's going to be really difficult to do now, I feel, though. Of course, Man United away, then West Ham at home. West Ham are scrapping for their lives and won at Fulham today, which is a cracking result for them, by the way. Man United, I mean, Villa are obviously, in a great way, back end of last season, final game of the campaign, and they played off the park by United, and even then should have still scored the opening goal. I'm not going to open up the old wounds, I already have, but yeah, I don't know. It just is deflation at the moment, and you need John McGinn back to sort of get those players roaring again, but it shouldn't be up to him, and that's the concerning part for me. So yeah, less so a match debrief, this walking around a tree and talk, but more of a where Villa are at the moment. I think it's a positive that they don't play this weekend, to be honest. I'd obviously rather be in the FA Cup than not. I didn't mean like that, but just take stock, regain those thoughts. Emery needs time as well to find solutions, because he's obviously not culpable either in this. He is culpable in this as well. Villa's attacking play was okay at some times tonight. They needed a strike to put the ball in the back of the net, and Watkins did that, just offside of course, and he had that moment, which is brilliant. Tammy Abraham has to come on the pitch earlier than he did. I think he should have come on earlier against Leeds. I think he should have come on earlier against Wolves. He had to come on earlier tonight for me. And you make your first 3 changes all at once, and Tammy isn't one of them. I'm not sure about that. And Emery even admitted after the game, he's trying to find solutions. He was watching at 4-1 to try and find solutions to this that he was seeing. But again, came to the sort of conclusion, at least as a basic conclusion, that Villa need to refine their confidence, refine their energy, and more than anything else, regain their structure. And yeah, I mean, obviously Villa's structure, as Emery says it, he doesn't like to shift away from that. I mean, it's taken Villa obviously incredibly far, 4th most points since his arrival, etc. We can't rewrite history and suggest that now Villa are a bad football team. They're just in a bad way, they're in bad form, there is no momentum. Where are they going to find that from? Probably not Old Trafford. And is it going to be the Lille Decathlon Stadium after everything that we saw there, 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago. Again, I hope so, but let's see. So yeah, 2 difficult trips for Villa, 2 very important ones though. Man United always seems to be a bit of a write for every season, but we said that about Newcastle, to be fair. What I would say is that I just think it's so important to get through in that European tie. I really do. There's no guarantee that Villa beat Lille at home, let alone away. So I think they're going to have to try and take something out of that away leg myself. But again, that feels like a long way away, to be honest. It's going to be obviously next Thursday, so it's 7 days from tomorrow, Thursday if you're watching it then. This might be out in the early hours. So a week away, relatively long build up to that one, and then of course United, then it's Lille, and then it's West Ham. 4 huge games, it really is. We spoke about how this game was possibly season defining today, but I meant season defining more so in the way of if Villa were able to win today, it gives you the momentum again, it gives you the confidence and the belief that you can go over there in the Champions League. You're 9 points ahead of Chelsea. Maybe that would have turned back to 6, for Man United. But Villa would have gone ahead of them with a difficult fixture list for Chelsea. Chelsea play Man City and Man United straight after the break. They play Liverpool the back end of the season when Villa are away against Burnley. That needs for Villa to be a point swing there. Villa then host Liverpool. So possibly a chance for Villa to make up some ground there. But yeah, to save going around in circles, literally, I'm going to kind of end it there. And yeah, it's frustrating. Villa were in such a good position a few weeks ago. 11, 12 point gap. We were talking even after that failure to beat Leeds. Well, the positive is that if Villa beat Wolves and Chelsea don't win at Arsenal, then you'd have an opportunity to move 12 points ahead of Chelsea. Nearly a crash of cars over there, not related to this. But where am I going? lost my train of thought. But yeah, obviously that didn't happen. Villa didn't win at Wolves. We know that. That was a terrible game. Made it a little bit better that Liverpool also lost there. So yeah, Liverpool, tough games at the end of the season. Chelsea, tough games all the way through, you'd probably say. But Villa need to do their part. And I don't think it'll be necessarily a high amount of 60s to get that 5th place. It might be mid 65, 66 possibly, maybe, I don't know. But whatever it is, Villa need to get there because Champions League football is really important. But I need to kind of stress that I think it's so important that Villa can't let this little rut hit them at the wrong time and then they fall out of Europe to Lille. That would be catastrophic for me. It really would. Villa, I'm desperate to see Villa win that Europa League this season, and I'm sure Emery and the players are as well. I hate that modern football's so much about money and revenue and spreadsheets. I think it's boring as hell. I asked Emery in the press yesterday, like, are we bored of this now? Because it's important, yeah, get it, but geez, the thought of, you know, being, I don't know if Villa, say they are knocked out to Lille, the thought of that, and then thinking, you know what though, let's get going again to finishing the Champions League positions. I mean, obviously you try and get up for it, but I'd struggle genuinely. Yeah, the Champions League's important, but you need to try and get that Europa League trophy. I think it's massively important. But anyway, that's for another day, I suppose. But I'm just talking about it because it's in the context of right now. They're in a bad way. Who do they play next? Oh, the first leg of 2, away in France, the place where they have more enemies than anywhere else in Europe, probably. Yeah, they've got a week to try and sort themselves out, Villa, and go there and give a good account of themselves, take this game back to Villa Park. But that feels like another task in itself almost. It's almost like they're playing 2 separate matches against Lille. Because I spoke about how the 2 home legs are really important for the second legs to be at home, the 3 home legs, should they reach the semi-final, all being played second. And yeah, I still think that's important because you'd rather have it than playing at home first, I think. But at the same time, Villa's home form has come off the rails to the point where, you know, Villa could win in Lille, they could lose here. You know, like, I don't want to sound negative, but those are the facts of the matter at the moment. You're struggling to find too much confidence about Villa turning up at home and really putting that performance. I think there's probably more nervous energy than anything else, and today it wasn't necessarily nervous. It started well, but the game was done after an hour. It's hard to really comment on it, to be honest, in terms of, you know, those feelings in the last 30 minutes. We didn't get that whole end raw as in for the last 20 minutes or so to try and push it, you know, to get something out of the game. So unfortunately it was taken away before we could even look forward to that, which is a shame. Anyway, I'm going to sign off there, and yeah, obviously a bit more reaction to this game, but also what does it mean moving forward for Villa. Yeah, my final thoughts: try and get over the international line as such. After that West Ham game, terrible wording. Just limp through it, get over it, and then Villa can come back hopefully with a game in Rome or Bologna for a quarter-final in the Europa League after the international break, and then they play Forest away. A difficult game to come back to in the league for sure, because Forest again are scrapping. Great point for them at City. That won't be easy. We knew that already. But fresh start then for me. That's what it has to be. Fresh outlook on this, not on the season. The objective stays the same. But, you know, I said after the Wolves game, forget the league table. Forget that Villa were in 3rd or in 4th or wherever they are. It doesn't matter. They have a certain amount of games for the rest of the season to play, a certain amount of points to win. And that is that. They need to hit a points tally which gets them back in the Champions League and also push in the Europa League and get to that final and win the bloody thing. In no I'm in no position right now to say that those things will happen, but I think it's really important that they can just get back into some sort of shape and confidence really quickly, because it does feel low at the moment. But there's still so much to play for, and that's the frustrating thing. It's like we have a big opportunity right in front of us. This is a dream situation, really. In the top 4, 3-point gap, happy days, Europa League, but the momentum's gone. So, yeah, pick it back up, hopefully, after a week break It's just a shame, I think, that you got 2 away games, but hell, maybe that's going to be positive. Lille will have to come out to Villa. Man United will have to come out to Villa. I do think that helped them in points this game. Equally, going the other way, Villa were done a few times on in transition, and the ball over the top was causing them lots of problems, but that's for a more in-depth tactical video, I suppose, rather than this. Yeah, 2 away games, maybe, just maybe, take them away from Villa Park, because the form here has been not good. Maybe that'll give them something, I don't know. But equally, they're going to have to win here at Villa Park, by the way. They can't just avoid, nicking a draw and losing the other one consistently throughout the rest of the season. They're going to have to win games here, and that sounds mad to say. It should be a fortress, and we know it can be, and it needs to be again. So, anyway, right. So, reaction to this game. Looking forward to go to Lille as well. We'll have coverage there, of course, and we'll be previewing that trip as well, the back end of this week and moving into the start of next week.